Larry, how are you doing this year in the spirit of dialogue? Can we have a conversation this year? Are you up for a conversation this year?
What about the spirit of dialogue, sir? Did you mean it, or was that another lie?
Obviously, since last year, you've been, I guess, promoted to the co-chair. Is that because if you want a job done right, you might as well do it yourself?
Last year you took photos of us, sir. What did you do with those photos?
Why are you so quiet? What does the spirit of dialogue actually mean, Larry? Does it mean anything? Is it like pretending you care about the carbon footprint coming here on a private jet?
Why is your bodyguard pushing me into the street, sir?
Just asking you to keep your distance. Excuse me, sir. Watch the baby.
Why was the would-be assassin of Donald Trump in one of your corporate videos, sir? Isn't that a bit weird?
Do you feel any responsibility as a Jew in the current climate where there's a rise in anti-Semitism and people blame Jews for everything, saying they want to control the world, and when they need evidence, they point to you? You're the example every anti-Semite gives, and it's hard to fight. Do you feel any responsibility for that? Don't touch my mic, mate.
Keep your distance.
Why are your bodyguards such thugs, sir? Isn't that the true Larry Fink? You have all this BS about conversations and dialogue, but underneath it, you're a thug.
Spirit of dialogue. Spirit of dialogue. This is what it looks like here in Davos.
How do you feel about Donald Trump saying you can no longer buy up residential homes and rent them out for profit? Did you talk to him about that? Do you agree with him that you've been predatory in your pricing for residential houses in America?
Have you consolidated power Have you consolidated power at WEF now that you're the co-chair? What did you do with Klaus Schwab? What did he do wrong? The spirit of dialogue. This is it. Welcome to Davos 2026. The WEF, the biggest pack of hypocrites, evil hypocrites like Larry Fink, who tell us how we got to live when it comes to your carbon footprint. You got to eat bugs, but old mate here gets to fly in his private jet, and when that one got tired, he's moved on to the spirit of dialogue. Now we got to talk to opposing voices just like this. It means being surrounded by your goons. This year he's not taking photos of us, but just as quiet, no shame. What's your next project, Larry?
Oh, he's got new viruses on the shelf.
Your silence says everything, you know that. Why do you suddenly not care about climate change here at WEF? Why does it seem like nothing here is about carbon footprint? Is that because the AI data centers kind of destroyed that narrative?
Yeah, because you can't take
Will you
humans'
admit that
energy
it was
and
all a
computers can't.
scam?
Checkmate.
Why do you force DEI on the companies in which you invest? Isn't that putting your own ideology ahead of shareholder rate of return?
Wow, WEFreports.com takes you to rebelnews.com subpage with all the reporting. They've been going there for many years to Davos covering the globalist elite, but this year is over the top. We already played part of it. I think we should just play it and let Ezra talk over it or start and stop it here. Larry Fink, the head of the WEF now, with a disgraced Klaus Schwab creeping back in the shadows, saying he's open dialogue. We've lost trust. We know you hate us, but he acted just like he did last year, totally arrogant with the security. Then you talked to Nigel Farage about what's going on. You talked to the White House AI czar, David Sachs, who did talk to you, the WHO boss, Tedros. This was a huge day. I know it's like 9 o'clock at night where you're at now. So Ezra Levant, thank you for being here with us. Go ahead and give us the latest. And then, wow, this is even better than Albert Bourla.
You know, Alex, every time I'm out there, we spot a different one of these oligarchs in the wild. And you just listed some of them. There's such a range from Nigel Farage, and obviously we didn't get close to President Trump, to, low-level functionaries. And we only have a brief moment of time because they're walking down this promenade, this central road in the town. But it only takes about 10 minutes to cross the whole area. So we've got to find them, identify them, run up to them, and then try and come up with something smart to ask them. And every time, you know what, I was just saying this to my colleagues, I said, I wish Alex Jones were there because he's got an encyclopedic knowledge of all of these bad guys. And it's hard to sort of immediately switch on, okay, flip on the Larry Fink questions, click on the Tedros questions, the WHO, flip on the questions for a Canadian politician. So all I see when I look at these videos are, oh, I wish I phrased that differently or this differently. But
you did a
I
better
know it
job than
doesn't.
I would. No, you guys knocked it out of the park.
Well, I hope one day that you'll be out here with us. Yeah, and like I said yesterday, you'd be like a kid in a candy store. And some of these folks have never been asked an unscripted question before in their life. I mean, let's be candid. Larry Fink does journalism. He does media interviews every single day on the biggest, like a lot of people are coming to know him. They recognize him. They know his voice because he has so much media. But every single one of those journalists is pre-vetted. Every one of them knows that they only have access to him if they play ball. And so when we scrum him in the streets, our questions, they're a little prickly. I acknowledge it, but that's because his bodyguard, you can't even see half of it. They're kicking us or shoving us. One of them said, well, it's because I'm trying to get you to move away or whatever. I don't know. But my point is, we weren't asking particularly tough questions, that we don't have secret knowledge about Larry Fink. We were asking questions that I'm sure he could swat down. I mean, he's a smart guy. But the idea that he would lower himself to talk to peasant journalists on the street, as opposed to his fancy pants journalists who paid $100,000 as a WF
And the whole speech,
membership
he's given
to
two
get in.
speeches I've seen, and his surrogates, we're going to talk to little guys. We're going to engage the people. We're going to get your trust, and then it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's what gets me. If he hadn't have said that, like that spirit of dialogue, you heard my colleague Avi say that a bunch of times. I mentioned it once. It's sort of this new rebranding. The other year it was rebuilding trust, spirit of dialogue. They all suggest the same thing. We're not elitist, we swear. Now, by the way, I don't mind things that are elite, if by that you mean excellence, outstanding, like an elite athlete. By elitist, what I mean is people who look down on common people, who look down on having to have any accountability, who want power without responsibility. And that's why I call the World Economic Forum a crypto government, as in a government, sort of hidden government. They don't have any elections. They don't have an official opposition. They don't have checks and balances. They don't have a Supreme Court in case they get out of control. They don't have a lobbyist registry. They don't have foreign, agent registry. They don't have any of the tools we use to hold our politicians in check. Instead, it runs rampant. Absolutely everything is for sale, and including, I think, our countries. And if I had to say what the WEF is for, I would use words like globalism, corporate socialism, if you understand the contradiction in terms. If I had to say what it was against, I would say one word: sovereignty. Larry Fink fancies himself a kind of president of the world. But of course, he's never been elected to dog catcher.
Well, yeah, that's the thing I would have raised is he wants an ESG, corporate governance, to, quote, control our behavior. What do you think of the rebellion against the public discovering that you want to be their unelected master?
You know what? It's almost like I wish I had you in my ear.
No, your questions were as good as mine or better. Let's start going to this exchange. You just say stop it anytime you want. They'll stop it. So you're in charge. This is earlier today. Here it is.
Do you feel any responsibility for that? Don't touch my mic, mate.
Keep your distance.
Why are your bodyguards such thugs, sir?
Larry, how you doing
Let me
this
push
year
off
in the
just for one
spirit
sec.
of dialogue?
Pause right there before we get going. So this was early in the morning. And I think that Larry Fink thought there's no chance we would be there. Like it's not even fully sunrise yet. And he obviously could ride in any of the limos, but he wants to go for a stroll. He's like the king of the castle, and he's the alpha male, and damn it, he's going to go for a walk with his large retinue of security. I remind you, Alex, that there are hundreds of extremely well-armed police and military police, and of course Donald Trump was in town, so they had an extra layer of security. He didn't need those toughs. It was just his way of being like Vince McMahon strolling into the ring or something. And he did not expect to see us. As you recall, last year he was furious that we caught up with him. Anyways, so I just wanted to set the stage. We spotted him early in the morning, and we moved into position. One last thing, it's sort of a tricky thing because you got to run and talk and your adrenaline's going. And the toughest job is for our cameramen who have to do all of that, but going backwards. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Keep rolling.
Back to the video.
Can we have a conversation this year? Are you up for a conversation this
What
year?
about the spirit of dialogue, sir? Did you mean it, or was that another lie?
Obviously, since last year, you've been, I guess, promoted to the co-chair. Is that because if you want a job done right, you might as well do it yourself?
Last year you took photos of us, sir. What did you do with those photos?
Why are you so quiet? What does the spirit of dialogue actually mean, Larry? Does it mean anything? Is it like pretending you care about the carbon footprint coming here on a private jet?
Why is your bodyguard pushing me into the street, sir?
Pause just for a second.
Excuse me, sir.
My colleague Avi said, why are you really forgetting about global warming, carbon footprint? I got to tell you, we've been coming to this for, I don't know, half a decade now, and they were obsessed about sustainable this, green that, carbon reduction this, net zero, et cetera. That is almost completely gone. And of course, Bill Gates, one of the biggest champions of that ideology, has abandoned it because they all want in on the AI money. And AI needs these vast data centers to take an enormous amount of energy.
And they also know no one's buying there, where they all buy oceanfront property, the ice caps didn't melt. Yeah.
There was a study, an estimate that for every 4 delegates at this convention, there's one corporate jet. And we went to the private airstrip at Altenrhein, and we just saw the planes coming in. Anyway, so that's what my colleague Abdi was referring to, is a few years ago, like Greta Thunberg was the star guest, and everything was climate this, climate that. Almost no one's talking about it. They have a couple of greenwashing art exhibits. That's over. These folks don't believe in anything that doesn't lead to their enrichment, either financially or in terms of political
power. So their new
scam
is the AI gold rush.
Yes, and they have a very particular job for AI and machine-based censorship. And that's one of the front lines. I did talk to a free speech advocate of the Trump administration. You probably know who I'm talking about, David Sachs, who's appointed the AI guru for Trump. And I don't know if we have time, but I'd love to play.
Yeah, we're going to get to that because later on.
Later.
But let's go back to Larry Fink this morning. Here it is.
You betcha.
So what did you do with those photos?
Why are you so quiet? What does the spirit of dialogue actually mean, Larry? Does it mean anything? Is it like pretending you care about the carbon footprint coming here on a private jet?
Why is your bodyguard pushing me into the street, sir?
Just asking you to keep your distance. Excuse me, sir. Watch the baby.
Hey, pause for a second.
Why was...
It's so, like I said, the bodyguard was pushing me into the street. Now, I wasn't too worried because there weren't a lot of cars. And I said, why'd your bodyguard pushing me? And the bodyguard answered, not Larry Fink, of course. And he said, I'm just asking you to move away. You weren't asking me, brother. You were pushing me. You didn't ask me. You know,
and again, it would have been such a victory if Fink would have actually just stopped and talked to you. Let's go back to it.
Donald Trump in one of your corporate videos, sir. Isn't that a bit weird?
Do you feel any responsibility?
I don't know if you heard that. Did you hear that, Alex?
Yeah, pause. Back up 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, back up 10 seconds and listen to this, because I asked him a question that I haven't seen any corporate journalist ask him. Play that part again. Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Baby. Why was the would-be assassin of Donald Trump in one of your corporate videos, sir? Isn't that a bit weird?
Do you feel any responsibility?
Do you have any more information on that, Alex? And maybe he has information. Maybe he could say...
No, it gets worse. It's worse.
It gets worse? It's worse?
The would-be shooter at Mar-a-Lago was in a BlackRock produced ad.
Oh, you know, and that's what I mean. You've got this wealth of knowledge, and I'm racking my brain thinking, okay, go to the Larry Fink memory chip and try and come up with. You have that granular detail that would have been amazing to Marshall. That was my poor chance, poor effort to do my best. But
no, you did a great job. Quit saying that.
Yeah. He could have given an answer. He could have said, "That's false. This is the truth. Here's the explanation." Like, he could have said something, because he obviously has been briefed on it. But he doesn't lower himself to talk to mere citizen journalists. Anyhow, I wanted to show you that I put that question to him. Keep playing the tape.
Jew, in the current climate where there's a rise in anti-Semitism and people blame Jews for everything, saying they want to control the world, and when they need evidence, they point to you. You're the example every anti-Semite gives, and it's hard to fight. Do you feel any responsibility for that?
Pause. You know, there are some Jews who live very Jewishly. They live their culture and their religion. And then there's some Jews who are just Jew by name or reputation or history, like George Soros would be an example. In fact, I think he's sort of, believe it or not, an anti-Semitic Jew. And obviously, you're not going to blame all Jews for what Larry Fink does or what George Soros does, but they have that layer of wanting to control everybody. And some of them, like Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL, say they're doing it in the name of the Jewish community. It's just whenever I see someone who's a power-hungry censor who wants to destroy countries, who wants to promote mass immigration, who wants to do all these things, I think, why does he have to be at least ethnically Jewish? Because he sort of proves the false allegation. I'm not criticizing him for being Jewish. And those were questions by my colleague Avi.
Well, the point is they're basically hiding behind it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that Larry Fink is a caricature of a controlling, censorious, avaricious globalist. He is all those things, and I just wish that I didn't get saddled with ethnic stereotypes based on his misconduct.
Is not Jewish. She literally wants total tyranny, and neither is King Charles who wants to exterminate everybody. But the point is the big front guy is Larry Fink. Let's continue with the report. Here it is.
Don't touch my mic, mate.
Keep your distance.
Why are your bodyguards such thugs, sir? Isn't that the true Larry Fink? You have all this BS about conversations and dialogue, but underneath it, you're a thug.
Spirit of dialogue. Spirit of dialogue. This is what it looks like here in Davos.
How do you feel about Donald Trump saying you can no longer buy up residential homes and rent them out for profit? Did you talk to him about that? Do you agree with him that you've been predatory in your pricing for residential houses in America?
Have you consolidated power Have you consolidated power at WEF now that you're the co-chair? What did you do with Klaus Schwab? What did he do wrong?
Pause for a sec. You know, I think that Klaus Schwab had a number of problems. There were accusations of sexual misconduct. The guy is
stealing money, looking like a James Bond villain, the German accent.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, working with the CIA decades ago, believe it or not, his father was an actual Nazi. I mean, there was a lot of crazy things about Klaus Schwab, but I think Larry Fink had a master plan to take over everything. And when Klaus Schwab slipped, I keep saying Larry King. Larry Fink was right there to grab the riches, and he is the boss now.
Well, look at 4 years ago, the UN merged and said that the WEF was co-equal to them. That's the merger of a corporate mouthpiece showing how powerful it was. And I said back then, I think Larry Fink's the real head of it, actually.
Yeah, I think he is. And even Donald Trump said Larry Fink makes things happen. Look, Larry Fink, let's not underestimate him. He's smart. He's got a work ethic. He's got an enormous team and company. He's got a Rolodex second to none. In some ways, he is worse than George Soros. I think he's more effective than Soros. And under him, the World Economic Forum this year is the record turnout, both in terms of guests, speakers, and attendees. Anyhow, back to the vid.
Here it is.
The spirit of dialogue. This is it. Welcome to Davos 2026. The WEF, the biggest pack of hypocrites, evil hypocrites like Larry Fink, who tell us how we got to live when it comes to your carbon footprint. You got to eat bugs, but old mate here gets to fly in his private jet, and when that one got tired, he's moved on to the spirit of dialogue. Now we got to talk to opposing voices just like this. It means being surrounded by your goons. This year he's not taking photos of us, but just as quiet, no shame. What's your next project, Larry? Your silence says everything, you know that. Why do you suddenly not care about climate change here at WEF? Why does it seem like nothing here is about carbon footprint? Is that because the AI data centers kind of destroyed that narrative? Will you admit that it was all a scam?
Why do you force DEI on the companies in which you invest? Isn't that putting your own ideology ahead of shareholder rate of return? Isn't your fiduciary to get the best, your fiduciary duty to get the best rate of return instead of imposing your ideology on the companies you invest in?
Are you still pushing ESG? I see it everywhere. What score do you think you get this year? What's your social score?
Everything.
You got fans everywhere, Larry.
When was the last time you flew commercial, sir? Or is that just for the little people?
What are you thinking about that?
Is BlackRock and WEF just the same, just the one organisation now? Larry, final word to the world. This is your chance. This is your chance. Larry, no, you don't want to say anything? In the spirit of dialogue, there you go. World Economic Forum 2026, the co-chair and the boss of BlackRock gives you a taste, the perfect example of what they mean when they tell you something.
That's Larry Fink. He's the CEO of BlackRock, $20 trillion of assets under management. He's the boss of this place here. Last year, he didn't like talking to us either. He took out a cell phone and took our pictures in sort of a threatening gesture. This year he managed not to do that, but his bodyguards did a little pushing. He himself, he's learned not to say a word. For Rebel News, I'm Ezra Levant with my colleague, Avi Yamini.
Wow.
Larry Fink talks to journalists every day, but they're always pre-scripted and vetted. I think that only once a year does he talk to journalists he does not control. Help us out by helping us cover our travel fees to get here. Go to wefreports.com, and you can also see all our coverage at that same website.
wefreports.com. Guys, we cannot do it without you.
Absolutely support them, support InfoWars. We're all this together. And folks, these interviews get tens of millions of views. It changes the world. It comes up in Congress. We're spotlighting the unelected corporate government with Larry Fink publicly saying in years past, we're going to control everybody's behavior with their investment money. The state of Texas this year won a big court case where they were trying to make us divest of fossil fuels, racketeering, or they would pull all the money when it was our money anyways, our investments. They backed off. So we're having big victories. Fink has to now act like he's going along with Trump. I remember when Trump first got in and went to Davos, Fink was like bragging, oh, we'll defeat America. America's over. China's going to dominate things. That was like 9 years ago. He was bragging. Oh, yeah, America's done. Now he knows. Now he's not so arrogant, Ezra Levant.
Yeah, last year was the first time we put questions to Larry Fink. And my very first question was, have you spoken to the president? Since this was right after the 2024 election. And he wouldn't answer, but it was a real question because, of course, the ESG idea, it's contrary to so many things Trump believes in. But it's also contrary, as you just implied, to the responsibilities of a public company. Remember, these 15 trillion or whatever it is, dollars under management, Fink doesn't own those funds. People put their money with Fink to invest for them. And so he has what's called a fiduciary duty to invest in a way that gets them the highest rate of return on a risk-adjusted basis, not for him to use that money as a stick to beat the company. So what he'll do is he might invest, let's say, $250 million in company X, but then he'll write a letter to company X, and I know this because I spoke to someone who got an investment from Fink, and they'll say, we expect this LGBTQ2I, we expect this quotas for minorities.
Well,
women,
let's be clear. It's been in the news for years. They will say, here's 5 or 6 rating groups. Pay them to come assess your company, and then follow their recommendation. So and then of course it's what Fink wants. Yeah.
Or we'll divest, and we'll hurt your company, we'll hurt its reputation, and we'll imply that you're bad people. So he's using other people's. If you want to use your own money that way, I suppose you can. But if you're taking tens of trillions of dollars from ordinary Americans and you are investing it, but then you're using that as a way for you to get in there and
they're taking over energy, medicine, the COVID thing they were behind, and there's just so many examples of this where this is dictatorial. I mean, this is criminal.
When I was a child, I thought that capitalists were right-wing and freedom-oriented. Was I ever wrong? The smartest socialists, like George Soros, like Larry Fink, get inside capitalism and revolutionize it from within. It's sort of the Alinsky method. You know, instead of protesting outside the dean's office at university, why not become the dean and take over the university? Look at what they've done in Colombia. Most of the protesters at the encampment actually were staff at the university. Same thing in capitalism. Corrode from within, the long march through the institutions. Larry Fink is a tremendous triumph for what Klaus Schwab called stakeholder capitalism. What is stakeholder capitalism? It's the opposite of shareholder capitalism. Shareholder capitalism means if you own a share in a company, you get to make the decisions and the proportion of your ownership. Stakeholder capitalism means people who have nothing to do with the company, who didn't build it, don't own any stock, didn't buy it. They are advisors on women's studies and vegetarian studies and gay studies and racial studies. People who have a stake in your company but didn't build it, they get to make decisions. That was a creepy propaganda device invented by Klaus Schwab, and Larry Fink lives that.
Remember, I am in a constant war with the Democrat Party, the globalists, their operations coming after us, trying to shut us down, all the things they're doing. And we are countersuing them, all sorts of actions. That's how we're still here. But regardless, I need your support. And we make it really easy to support with incredible products at our sponsor of thealexjonestore.com. Because even if InfoWars gets shut down, they own and finance the Alex Jones Network and those studios, the bigger studios that are being built. They've launched so many great new products, I haven't even had time to get into them all. They are really kicking butt over there. Amazing supplements, the widest selection of Patriot apparel, some of the best designs. It's all there. And again, this is their idea. It's a great idea. It's got a nostalgia shirt in case they do shut down InfoWars. It's a fundraiser shirt normally, but this is free. Starting today, and just for a few days, every order placed at thealexjonestore.com will receive a free t-shirt. And it's just a classic InfoWars since 1997. And that's what it's all about. And you get that free with any order. Some of the orders will obviously be a loss leader. You buy a $30 supplement and these t-shirts cost like $15 to produce, so you can see what's happening there. Here's what makes this deal so incredible. There's no minimum spend limit. Literally every order placed will receive a free t-shirt. I'm not even sure, again, how they're going to make money on this, but it's their promotion. The deal ends Sunday, January 25th at midnight. The coordinates of this deal are Alex Jones Store, thealexjonestore.com. Take action now. These are amazing products. They're either private labels of the top certified brands with the 5 stars and absolutely tested and loved, or you have a private label, if a company won't let us private label something that's already a bestseller, you don't reinvent the wheel around here. We just go and have one of our big developer companies get the same ingredients and make it even better. And the folks at Bigley, they didn't go out and get a regular supplement supplier of methylene blue. I told them get the best. They went and got a medical lab in Florida that sells it internationally and nationally for cardiovascular tests, because it's better than radioactive iodine they can put in your veins to do a scan, see if what's leaking or what's happening before you have heart surgery or brain surgery. Well, more and more they use methylene blue because it's not toxic. In fact, it's good for you, and it works as good as the radioactive iodine. And they're like, well, we've never really sold this as a supplement, but yeah, we know you've got a big show. Yeah, sure. You can private label it. Ours is medical grade. I mean, that's why it's so much stronger than everybody else's. It's not just the quote standard pharmaceutical grade. It is the best. You need to get it. You need to experience it. It is incredible, and it funds this operation. It literally powers 1776 worldwide. In Gladiator, he says, "Are you not entertained?" when he chops up 4 guys in about 30 seconds. I'm saying, are you not empowered? Have you not been steered right? Have I not consistently had about a 98% accuracy rate? That's all I want to do. Well, my products are just like our information. You're seeing 1776 worldwide right now. And we're the epicenter, and I've got more fights and more analysis and more things to get done. But I can only stay on there with your help, and I need your help now. Take action, thealexjonestore.com.